Coming up on episode 75. Those of you out there who have no idea what we're talking about, Lemony Snicket and a series of unfortunate events
I only caught like one episode.
Is literally that is these three kids, and the bad stuff happens to them.
Three kids, yes.
Now, bad stuff happens to them. Their parents die. They end up going to live with this guy who hates them. He keeps trying to kill them. They have to escape. At one point, he tries to force the little girl to marry him.
Yes, at the first episode, he tries to force her to marry him because he's supposed to be the Olaf. Yes, because he is supposed to be their guardian.
This is not like the Grinch where he ends up being nice at the end. No. This is just a bad guy. Thank you for joining us for another episode of The Little Radio Show. My name is Sandra Fernandez, and I'm joined by my co-hosts Juan Alanis and Angelica Casares, and we're bringing you small talk about big topics. In today's episode, we take a run around some Netflix shows and other entertainment that we're just loving, including One Day at a Time, another look at Club de Cuervos, and Lemony Snicket's An Unfortunate Series of Events. Yep, we go there. Just a reminder that you can catch us every week on Thursdays at 2 p.m. Central Time on hmsnetradio.org. Our show archives and the link to our iTunes and Stitcher channels are available at thelittleradioshow.com. And as always, all the inspiration for today's content came in from HispanicHouston.com and JuanOfWords.com. I think it's become obvious to everybody that we don't watch regular television as much as other people do, and that to us,
hardly
Netflix, Netflix and Hulu and the other
YouTube
digital streamings and YouTube, yes, are what dominates our entertainment. And so today, what I am bringing is a conversation about a few of these shows, with the start of One Day at a Time, or the reboot of One Day at a Time for Netflix. Now, this is part of, I believe that this is part of their Latino entertainment that they're doing to do an outreach to the Latino community. It's an English show. It's a remake of either it's 1970s or 1980s show where Valerie Bertinelli played actually a teenager way back when. This show, the Netflix version, has Rita Moreno playing the grandma, has Justina Machado playing the single mom, and has got a couple of new actors as the kids, and etc., etc. And of course, I went through and I binged all of them as soon as I could. I think Juan saw the show as well. Angelica? That's okay.
I tried to watch the show. I really tried to watch it because I had heard the interview with Rita Moreno.
This is all new to me, guys. Please educate.
So the One Day at a Time, I never saw the original show, but it was like in showing, like you said, in the 80s, and now it's like they remade it, and they remade it with an all Latino cast.
Yes,
but
a mostly Latino cast.
Yeah. But I was listening to the interview, and I don't remember if the director Norman Lear is like the one who did the original show too.
I want to say he is. Big names, some big hits way back when.
I want to say he is, and I was listening to an interview with Rita Moreno, and where she was talking about the fact that, because one of his partners actually had just heard a report from, I think it was Coca-Cola, who was telling them that the next audiences they should be paying attention to were Latino, and that's when his partner was like, "Hey, that's the cast of One Day at a Time. It's a Latino cast." And so then they cast the show and they redid it and everything. And so I listened to the interview, and it was a great interview, and they were talking really great about the show and everything. And then I went to watch it, and I couldn't get past like the first 10 minutes. I was like, I can't get into this show. I'm sorry. I don't know if it's me or if I'm just not into sitcom-y shows that much anymore, or I don't know. I just couldn't get into it. It just kind of it lost my attention really quickly. And I kind of felt disappointed because I was like, I heard so much great things about it, and like so many people were raving about it, and I was like, you know what? I kind of like Cristela better than this show. I thought Cristela was better than this.
Well, I went through and I watched the entire first season to take a look at it. I was also not.
Did I miss anything?
Well, I'm gonna say so. Here's if you're haven't watched the Netflix show yet, you might want to fast forward through the next few minutes because I'm going to give spoilers. They touched on a lot of societal topics. So obviously the mom is a single mom, which these days is not as big a deal as it was back when the original, because she was divorced.
Right.
Back when the original ran. She's a vet. She's ex-military. She's a nurse. She is having trouble. There's a scene where she's having trouble getting help from the VA. One of the reasons why she and her husband divorced is because he has PTSD and a lot of really serious psychological issues because of it, and refused to get help. And she felt that she could no longer live in that kind of a situation.
And this is the mom character?
The mom character, okay. Justina Machado.
Okay.
So she's a nurse. She's an ex-army. They actually have several plot lines around her finally going to go to support groups and making friends with ex-vets and all this other stuff because she's on her own for the first time. So this is a really important topic in a country where we increasingly have more and more ex-military trying to readjust into normal society, whatever that might be.
And I thought that's one of the things I heard about the show is that it did deal with a lot of like real topics in an honest way.
And one of the funniest, not funny things, there's an episode where she spends the entire episode trying to get an appointment with the VA. And, my brother is ex-military. I pay attention to this. It is a very real issue that it takes practically an act of God to get a VA appointment, and they're needed.
Right.
For things like to see.
So it's good that they're bringing attention to that.
It's good that they're bringing attention to it. And it's not actually, they're doing it in such a way that that's not the funny part of the show. Right. That's just part of the reality that this woman lives in. Mm-hmm. She's got a couple of kids. There is one episode where her daughter, who is about to turn 15 and they're planning the quinceañera for, earns this very prestigious scholarship. But when she finds out that she got the quote-unquote minority scholarship from this, she wants to turn it down because she feels that actually takes away from her accomplishment. Right. And so she's threatening not to take the scholarship, and her mom and her grandma are appalled. This is a wonderful opportunity. The girl wants... She feels like they diminished what she did. So
I guess it shows like the generational differences, right, of how you like view something like that.
Absolutely, because in the same episode they have the grandma talking about because they're Cuban. Mm-hmm. The grandma talking about how she was, she and her siblings had to come to the U.S. under Pedro Pan, which meant that only the kids under the age of 18 were allowed to come in. So for the first time, she tells her daughter she actually had an older sister that she had never mentioned because she never made it out of Cuba, and she died shortly after they came because she wasn't able to come. She was an adult, quote unquote. Yeah. And that's the same episode. And when the granddaughter hears that story and about everything that her family has sacrificed, well, it's removed. She's heard the stories. She hasn't really heard the heartbreak of it. She finally realizes, wait, this is a great opportunity. My grandma and my mom they've done tremendous things to get me here. I'm going to take it, even though I don't particularly agree with it.
Yeah. And and like I said, I heard a lot of great things about the show. And I think what you're talking about is one of them. The other thing I was kind of excited about, and I didn't get to see the whole thing, and now I'm thinking like now I have to go back and just watch the entire season just to see it. But the other thing that I heard is that they actually don't censor it, so like you do hear like cursing in Spanish and English, and like it's just part of the dialogue. It's just like the way that you would talk normally.
So is it based around a Hispanic family?
Show.
It's a Cuban family.
It's a Cuban family. Mm-hmm. Who migrated to the States?
Well, the grandma migrated. The daughter was born here. The granddaughters were born here.
The story hovers around the granddaughter or the mother or the family itself?
The story is the three generations who live together.
Okay.
And it's actually supposed to be about the mom, Justina Machado, how she's trying to survive. She is the main character, and how she is trying to go through. She and her husband, they're not even really divorced yet. They've been separated for less than a year. Her kids don't understand why they're separated. Her mom moved in to help her because she needed the help. She's been out of the military not that long. She's trying to it's one day at a time, every single day. And like, she has an argument with her mom, and her mom moves out, and she's telling her friend, oh, well, she thinks she does so much, and I can do without her. And her friend goes, well, what does she do? And she tells her friend, well, she does this, this, and this. And her friend's looking at her. She goes, yeah, well, when I say it like that, it sounds like a lot.
So I'm curious, is it like comedy based?
It is. It's a sitcom.
A comedy. Yeah,
it's a sitcom.
It's a 30-minute situation comedy.
But the way I hear y'all describe it, it sounds like a very serious.
No, but these are just things that they're interweaving. The problem is that the comedy part of it actually falls flat.
Oh, okay.
It's not actually that funny.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
It's not actually that funny. So, the guy, the Schneider, the handyman, he's the illegal immigrant. He's Canadian. He's in the U.S. without papers.
Oh, that's hilarious.
Yeah, it's supposed to be hilarious. It falls flat.
Oh.
The comedy sort of falls flat. Okay. If you can wade your way through the comedy part of it, the show's got some really great points. And again, spoiler alert, the girl, the 14-year-old, at the end, she's having her quinceañera, whatever. It's not in the last episode, but it's in the last episode where she comes out to her dad that she's gay. Her dad, who's been away, he refuses to go to the quinceañera, and then he won't talk to her. He does end up going, but he leaves before because he can't handle the idea, and he blames her mom. It's your fault that she's doing this. Why don't you fix this? And so there's real issues, real subjects. There's real subjects in there. The comedy part, So
it is supposed to be based.
It's a comedy. It's a comedy. It's a situation comedy.
What would you compare it to something existing now that we all, or something that happened in the 90s? Like, what sitcom, or what would you compare it to?
I don't know.
Do you think it stands on its own?
It actually sounds of the old sitcoms.
Yeah,
where they were trying to teach you a lesson while making
like
you
the
laugh.
Old ones.
Yeah, not the newer ones that you're like, no.
It's where the comedy falls flat. I think Juan, you mentioned it earlier. Would you say like Full House comedy type of thing, where you kind of
it was that kind of
like Cowabunga? That kind of thing.
Every episode had a lesson that you learned by the end. That kind of thing.
Where it wasn't really comedy. It was kind of somebody making a noise in the background, and that was supposed to be funny.
Yeah,
like a family show. Yeah.
Okay, so we didn't like it that much. That doesn't mean it's not good.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's been getting a lot of good reviews.
We're not the audience.
It's been getting a lot of good reviews, and like I said, I think it's good that they have it, that they brought it back as an all Latino cast and everything, and all the things that they're doing, like all the social issues they're bringing up is good. I may go back and watch it. I don't know, but another show on Netflix that I do love, and I finally started watching again. It's Club de Cuervos.
And I knew that as soon as you got your Netflix login, you were going to go watch it.
That show is so awesome.
Was season 2 not awesome?
I'm still like four episodes away from finishing it. But so far, it's hilarious.
See, I did not think that they could improve upon it season 2.
Oh, they did.
I mean, they have the characters are so complicated.
The brother and the sister, the relationship they have is so funny. Like, they always, like, I've got to the point where the sister goes into his house, runs into his house, beats the crap out of him.
Well, because she realized that he leaked their strategy to the opposing team, so that they could lose.
Because he pretends like he's like all this, like he came back from this trip and he's like all like peace and harmony and I don't know what, and he's just fooling her so he can kind of get the inside information.
So I'm not going to tell you what happened in the last 4 episodes. Once you've seen the last 4 episodes, we can talk. But Club de Cuervos is absolutely one of those, and I know that we just talked about it a few weeks ago, so I'm sorry, listeners, but it is one of those must-watch shows.
It is. It really is. And what I thought was funny that I was watching on that specific episode where they were fighting is that he mind you, this is a guy who was the president of the sports team, and he's like he's famous, and he's like in magazines and whatever. He's infamous. He's infamous in this town or whatever. And he's still living at home with his mom in his bedroom, and I thought, like, and it's not even a big deal. Like, it's just like, and I'm like, that's so like a Latino thing, you know, that it's like, he lives with his mom.
Oh, yeah. So, yeah, of course, Club de Cuervos is on Netflix. I know that Angelica brought a Hulu show today.
I did. So we're all talking about Netflix, and we're bypassing Hulu. So Hulu has, of course, a lot of you probably know, the show. It was a movie a couple of years ago. I now found out it's a series of books.
Yes.
Thanks to Sandra, who actually educated me on that, is a series of unfortunate events. This is supposed to be a kid show. Let me see. It's described as an American Black comedy drama.
I don't know that the show is a kid's show.
Hold on,
it's
wait.
based upon a series of children's books.
Hold on, Sandra. I don't think it's on Hulu. I think it's on Netflix.
Really? I don't
Yeah.
think so.
No, it is on Netflix.
It's on Netflix.
Really? Okay.
Yeah.
What is wrong with us? Obviously, what's wrong with me?
All right. So Hulu, we're sorry. We'll come back to you later. Netflix, apparently, we're going to continue our love on with you.
Yeah. So Netflix, I'm sorry, you've been on it. So
my 10-year-old nephew texted me the morning that they released it, saying, "Oh my goodness, a series of unfortunate events is on. We've got to go watch. So we're supposed to watch it together."
Okay. Did you watch the movie?
I did watch the movie.
I have to go watch the movie now because based on Lemony Snicket's A Series of Unfortunate Events, what I've heard is that they've kept very close to the books, that they've left out very little. So
the books are very dark.
They are very dark, and we were having a small conversation about like the things that take place. Supposedly a snake is supposed to be killing like one of the. So it's a lot of death. It's a lot of black comedy, and it's supposed to be geared towards
basically kids. It's this count who kills their parents.
Yes, Count Olaf.
Which that doesn't come out.
There's supposed to be an espionage
yes.
type of espionage like cult of some sorts, and the parents are part of the espionage. Count Olaf is resentful for them for whatever reason. They haven't gotten to it. I haven't read the books.
To get the money.
Well, yes, but there's like they separated for some sort of reason, and they never mentioned the reason why.
Yeah,
the
they
kids
separated.
And the parents.
No, not the kids and the parents, but the espionage group.
Oh, okay.
So they had, I guess, a falling out, and Count Olaf. But you know what? Based on the series, I'm not sure if he's the actual one that is actually burning the houses to these children's homes. So I'm a little lost here. I think I gotta go read books. But
for those of you out there who have no idea what we're talking about, Lemony Snicket and A Series of Unfortunate Events
I only caught like one episode.
Is literally that is these three kids, and the bad stuff happens to them.
3 kids, yes.
Now, bad stuff happens to them. Their parents die. They end up going to live with this guy who hates them. He keeps trying to kill them. They have to escape. At one point, he tries to force the little girl to marry him.
Yes, the first episode, he tries to force her to marry him because he's supposed to be the Olaf. Yes, because he is supposed to be their guardian.
This is not like the Grinch where he ends up being nice at the end. No. This is just a bad guy.
So this series of unfortunate events, this series has a lot of, like they said, dark humor. I wanted to bring it back because in one of them, the boy is hit. Klaus is hit by Count Olaf. So they show domestic violence in the families. They show death, how the kids are grieving with the death. I think at one point the boy isn't accepting that they're dead, and the actual series leads you to believe that the parents are still alive, and it happens so to be like the parents are parents of another kids who those other kids now lose their parents.
What made you get hooked on the show?
I don't know.
Reviews? Or
I don't know. No,
like,
it's so
something about the story or like what?
I remember hearing about the movie, and when I was like, oh, it must be the movie, and I brought it up, and it was a series, and I hate watching series because I get stuck to them, and I have to watch them back to back to back. Like there's no slowing down for me. I will stay up all night to do it, as a matter of fact. And so when I watched the first one, I was hooked. The way the story is told in such a dark, ominous way, it just called me in. So it starts off, these poor kids, the girl's an inventor, and he's like this studious boy. And the kid, according to the book, they know what she's saying during, like, based on baby talk, and she's completely intelligent. And she eats things with teeth.
Like I saw only one episode, but I thought it was. I liked the way they had the baby like talking, and like they could understand what the baby was saying. I thought that was. I liked that.
And they brought up a really good point about how parents don't listen to their children. They were having this back and forth, a conversation with the bank, the guy who deals with the money, because Count Olaf was trying to take the money. So the banker is the one in possession of the kids and needs to figure out all these unfortunate events. It so happens to be, he just happens to take them to these people. And at one point they're telling him, like, you're not listening to us. We're just children. And that's all you see us as, just children, because he keeps bringing up, like, he's an adult. Like, why would you say that about him? There's no wrongdoing that he can possibly do. And so I
recommend
if you
it.
got it, yeah. Well, let me know how you like the movie, because I'm not gonna go watch the movie, but I like the series, and I want to know what you guys like think about it. I could reflect to one of the. I brought this up because I for firsthand really enjoy this, but specifically because I can. One of the episodes was Aunt Josephine. Aunt Josephine was now scared of everything. She lived on the ledge of some lake, and this was one of the guardians that they were going to go to. Now,
is this Joan Cusack? Because I thought Joan Cusack was in
Aunt Josephine. I don't know.
Okay,
I don't know. I'm not sure who the actor is Aunt Josephine is. But I could relate very closely to Aunt Josephine, who was scared of everything. Her husband died in some tragic accidents, of course.
Because it's a series of
right? Yes. So he died in some tragic accident, and now she was afraid of everything. Once known to be this heroine person who would fight, literally, I think they were talking about lions, and who would take up men in physical fights, and who would stand up for this. She was a spy also, who would stand up for the right of all mankind, and so on and so forth. Now was completely scared. Now it looked like they were gearing it towards she had some kind of mental illness. You know what I mean? So she was afraid of turning on lights because she thought she was going to get electrocuted. She didn't want fire. She ate everything cold. She was completely afraid, and she had lasted like that for a long time. So they're doing is that the Arthur Lemony Snicket? Is that the author's name?
I don't know.
Or is that
I think that's a nom de plume. I think that's,
okay. Is that like another J.K. Rowling type of thing?
I think that's a made up.
I feel so strange saying it like that.
Lemony Snicket.
Yeah, but because of the way it sounds, I'm like,
I am 99% certain that it's made up. I'm sorry, Mr. Snicket, if that is your real name. I apologize in advance. I'm almost absolutely certain that it's a made-up name.
The author did a very great job of bringing up a lot of hidden, I believe, what are hidden messages to children to, kind of...
And parents,
and pay attention. And this is the world as it's happening. And I understand it's very dark, and, you got to look for these hidden messages. But I related to the one show, to that one especially episode.
Well, I've got it queued in my to watch queue, which is, so I'll come back and I'll add my 2 cents to it when I actually watch it.
Mm-hmm.
But now switching gears to a little bit less unfortunate show.
Good one, hon.
The Superstore show is back again this season for the new season.
And I know that
you haven't watched it.
That show is awesome.
Like
I love
you
that show.
don't like it, Sandra. There is a character named Sandra that we absolutely love. We love her, Sandra.
I'm not a fan of those office work-based dramas. And so, Parks and Rec and The Office and all those where it's about the series of people and this is their work and aren't they all curious and cute and different and unique, and no, that's not my brand.
Yeah.
So I'm
and
sorry.
Typically I'm not into, like, I can watch those shows every once in a while, but this one I'm hooked on just because I think what it is that they're just all like funny characters. They're like, and it reminds me of going the store is called Superstore and it's supposed to be Walmart. So every time I go to Walmart, I just can't help but to like remember,
look at the employees and think of them.
Superstore. And maybe it's because I worked at Walmart when I was a teenager. At one point, so I'm like, I can relate to like everything that's happening and like all the craziness that just goes on with working at a department store. And the show initially the role was not for a Latino; it just was for a character.
They sort of just co-opted it.
Yeah, and she's good on the show. I like her on the show, but she's not my favorite character on the show.
I know.
There's so many other ones that are just like people that I've never seen before. Like there's a.
They're killing it.
But I mean, I think this is really taken. It's taken if ugly Betty thing, and it's kind of like she's not kind of typecast in that anymore. America Ferrera,
good.
like it's taken her to somewhere else. That it's like you don't even like think of her. And I like her as an actress because I think she's very versatile.
Yeah,
so I'm enjoying her in this comedy.
So, and to wrap up today's episode, I'm gonna give a shout out to the things that are on my to watch list.
Mm-hmm.
To watch list. I want to go see Hidden Figures. I read the book.
Awesome movie.
Did you watch it?
Yes, I did. Awesome.
I hear my family went to go watch it. They're like, oh, it's a little slow. The book, if you ever get a chance to read the book is actually reads like a history book.
And
it's incredibly well written, huh?
And it beats Star Wars.
I wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah, that's what I heard. It beats Star Wars.
I love the idea of it. I haven't been able to go watch it yet, but I hear great things. The book is phenomenal. It's a little expensive. It's my, I tend to go for more the dime store stuff, and that just tells you more about what I read than anything else.
What I'm waiting for is Ingobernable with Kate del Castillo to start on Netflix.
Oh yeah, I what I'm just hoping for is that it's not going to be another one of Kate playing the same character again.
Well, this time she's supposed to be like the first lady, so there isn't like there aren't narcotics involved. It's
because
she's the first lady. I think it's of Mexico or something.
After she did La Reina del Sur, it's like she did 10 different projects where she played some sort of criminal of some sort, and a lot of it, some sort of cold-hearted, no-feeling criminal.
Well, she's really good at it, though.
She's
really good at it in person, too, I have to say.
Okay, well, Juan
as the villain. Did we ever tell you the story about their encounter? Do I have a second really quick? Because I want to share this story. So I have a story time, guys. All right, so here we go. So we were honored to be invited to her honor a launch of tequila. That's the actual name, honor. We go outside. There's a crowd forming outside, and we have our chance to meet her.
You're talking about meeting Kate del Castillo.
Kate del Castillo herself. Kate del Castillo. So we go to her tequila launching.
This is my second time meeting her, actually.
Oh, excuse me. Anyways.
He's special.
Right? So they take her outside because this is where she's meeting everybody, like one-on-one, and you can have a conversation with her. And we all go outside, and of course her people are like backing people up, like, no, this is not your turn, and so on and so forth. And Juan, as usual, is very insisting. So he like tries to move to the fourth of the line. One of the girls.
What is that saying? Don't ask for permission, ask for forgiveness.
Yeah.
Right. No, and he takes that literally.
That was my mentality.
Pedir perdón que pedir permiso.
Yeah. So literally with the translation which Juan just said, in case you guys didn't understand, Sandra. But so Juan's trying to make his way to the front, and what I do, I tend to like make eye contact with people so they can like get my attention, so I can get their attention. And finally, I make the contact with one of the girls, and she's like, yeah, come forward, you're gonna be next. And she's like, we actually want to do all the bloggers together, and we're like, no, we don't want to do all the bloggers together. We want to have a one-on-one with her. Juan tells her this, and she agrees it. So it's our turn to go up there to Kate del Castillo. We're like, all right, we want to take a picture, and Juan upon himself. Well, let me clarify. At the beginning, he goes, they told her, do not record her. We don't have enough time for that. You guys take a picture and move on. Juan's like, nope, I'm going to get my opportunity and chance. So he brings up his phone.
Mind you, we had already been there waiting for a while, for like 2 or 3 hours.
No, not so long. Come down, Juan. It was like 40 minutes.
No, because it was like a lunch thing, and then whatever. Like it was like this whole thing.
Oh,
but
yes.
At that point, we were there like
Who's
3
telling
hours.
the story, me or you? Whose version is this? Let me say mine. So as I was mentioning, so Juan is moving up, right, queuing up, right? And they tell him that he cannot do this. He brings up his phone, and this is Kate del Castillo, puts it up right in front of her face, just like this. When I'm measuring here, guys, it's about 5 inches from her face.
Oh my God.
Puts it up, and she like grabs his phone and pushes it back.
She didn't grab my phone.
She grabs his phone.
She put her hand on my chest.
Oh, I'm
sorry. And was like,
no, she put her hand up to the phone. I remember her putting up. Yes, go back and look at the video. She puts her hand up to the phone and like tells her, oyes, dame un poquito, no seas malo, dame un poquito de espacio. He's like telling him,
said, no seas tan malo con la luz.
Oh, con la luz. That's right. That's right. Don't be so stingy with the light. Can I have some of the light? Because
they had a bright light
casting shadows on her.
They had a bright light they were using to like I guess brighten her face.
So I think this is.
So you were in her light.
So I was in her light.
So I think what Juan was talking about at this moment was that she's like that in person because she had no floats about telling him, hey,
But obviously, I'm not afraid of tough chicks. Obviously.
Oh my goodness.
No, but she's beautiful in person, and like she's beautiful.
All right, so we'll leave it
like,
at that.
And she's like quite a character, and like I did get the one thing I got to ask her was about the election. You know, like what she thought about what was happening with Trump and everything, and her response was kind of where she was like, you know, I'm kind of mad at Mexicans right now. I'm mad at Mexicans because we let this happen, and we shouldn't have let this happen. And I was like, yeah, that sounds like right about
all
her.
that
like,
together.
She's like,
all that together, I think this is what Juan means, that she's like that. The way she portrays her characters, she can also be like that in person. So yeah. So anyway, Sandra, we should probably wrap this up because now we're going on somewhere else.
For those of you out there, as we do all the time, share with us what's on your to watch list, what's on your queue list, and what have you seen recently that you loved. And that's this week's show. Thank you for joining us for another episode of The Little Radio Show. We invite you to check out our iTunes and our Stitcher channels and leave us a rating or a review. You can find the link to both channels at thelittleradioshow.com.